Sometimes, man, you just get to where I can't figure this out. Like help me out. I'm trying to understand, dude, what the hell is going on? So that's the name of this partnership. You tell me. 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 Live on Mondays. You tell me. Live on Mondays. You tell me.
Hey, man. On Mondays. We are here. We are here. We are here. It is another week. So it is another episode of You Tell Me. It's your main man, Uncle Neely, the pregame network. As always, partnered with my right-hand man, Duke the Scoop. Duke, how you been, brother? How you making it?
Man, I'm good, man. Just got through. I just made some steak fajitas. Man, I'm good and full. You know, if I don't do nothing else, I'm gonna eat. You feel me? So, I'm glad to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're checking in on all three channels, all three networks. You can catch us live on Big Dog Chico's platform. He's producing in the background, as well as Duke the Scoop channel, and of course on the pregame network. Get in where you fit in. Make sure you like and subscribe to each channel. Turn those notification bells on, because outside these partnerships that we do together, such as Uncle Chico Live and You Tell Me, and of course the new show dropping on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning, the morning run. So y'all catch that tomorrow morning as well as this Friday. But outside of that content, we got unique, very unique and exclusive content on each channel. So it's very important that you subscribe to each. As y'all are coming into the chat, as always, drop where you're from, give us a what up, and we're going to get into this this episode of You Tell Me. If I'm not mistaken, this is the last one for the first month of the year, because next week it'll be February, Black History Month. We ain't going to let them cancel it. It's going to be Black History Month. They can change the name of the Gulf of Mexico, but they can't change that month. I got a question for you. I'm going to come out the gate with you. Sound man. Shout out to the sound man. Wasn't expecting that, sound man. I got one for you, man, right out the gate.
All right.
Super Bowl is set. Going to be down in New Orleans. Kansas City Chiefs are going through for a three-peat. They are, as it stands, the favorite to win the game. So I want to address it from the other end related to this Super Bowl. It is a rematch of sorts as well. You tell me, Deuce the Scoop, how does Philly pull off the upset and win this game?
How does Philly pull off the upset? I think, one, you shrink the game by running the ball. I think you run it from a multitude of ways. I think everybody's looking for Saquon. I think this may be the time where you start to pull some stuff out of your hat that hasn't been seen. Right? Maybe you go with you see Gainwell a little more. You see some swing passes. You see more RPO. Because a lot of the times when you're watching Saquon, there's some RPO there, but they could do so much more with it. And then maybe this is the game where they say, you know what, Hurts, you keep it, or they start to throw out of the RPO. So I think by literally just taking the same thing that you do and adding some wrinkles, shrinking the game, keeping the ball moving, and going to some quick passing game, so that way you don't let a Chris Jones get involved. And I think that's the way you beat them, by running the ball. And then, I mean, there's only you don't stop Kansas City offense. You contain them, and I think they have the pieces to contain them. So I wouldn't get too fancy. I would play a lot of bend but don't break defense. Make them work for it. Tackle well. You know, I'm not a guy who's going to say you go press those corners. Like I mean, those go press Kansas City's wide receivers. I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to say you sit back, sit in some zone, go be the good tackling team that you've shown yourself to be all year long, and run the ball. Classic old school football. Run the ball, play defense. That's how the Eagles can win. What you think, huh?
Man, I like all that. I like all that, particularly with some different uses of Saquon Barkley. I think he's going to score. It's going to be interesting to see if he breaks off one of those 50, 60, 70, 80-yard run, damn near untouched scores that he's been doing throughout the season. I think somehow you got to make happen what rarely happens. Like, let's keep this in mind. Kansas City has lost before. They are beatable. Like, there's a blueprint out there where they can have a bad game, and it's because you have massaged them into that game by giving them different looks. I think it starts with you got to create some things on the back end that cause Patrick Mahomes, to be good and not great. And I think one part of that starts actually on the front end. As you know, when the quarterback comes out there, he's looking to see what the safety is doing. But I think you can do some of the things like a BYU did against Colorado, with those down linemen and where they come from. I don't want Philadelphia to push him outside the pockets. I think that is where Patrick Mahomes is hella comfortable. Do not get me wrong. He's a great quarterback, so he is comfortable everywhere. But I think the more that you flush him, that's the best part of his game. So I kind of want to contain him. I don't want him to use his legs. I want him to stand there in the pocket and kind of bounce around and look downfield and then try to make something happen, try to force him, into a riskier throw that he's comfortable at. But what I want to do is just remove the ability of when the play completely breaks down, he runs for 10 or 12 yards and then does that Patrick Mahomes slide, which just, man, sucks the life out you when he does it. I don't know what it is about his slide, Deuce. I'm just like, damn. Like he got away with another one, especially when it's 3rd and 9 and he run for 12 and it wasn't nothing to throw to downfield. I think that got to get a turnover, whether that is a fumble or interception. I do believe it's more difficult to bait him into interceptions. So I'm telling all of my players upon tackling, even if it means the runner is gaining another 2 or 3 yards, I'm fighting and punching for the ball on contact. Like I got to get a takeaway. If I'm Philadelphia, I have to increase my number of possessions to not only increase my odds of scoring more, but to take a possession away from them because they're going to get 3. They're going to get 6. Like they do something with the ball every time they get it. I do think Vegas is right. I do think Kansas City should be favored in this game, but not so much so that Philadelphia doesn't have a chance. We talked about it before, Dukes. This Kansas City team, man, has set a record for most wins by 1 score or less. Eventually, that has to catch up with you.
Yeah. I like what you said there. Now I'm gonna give you a different. You tell me this is a little different than what we usually do. I just thought about this. Who do you think wins the game if Jalen Carter and Chris Jones swap teams?
Man, that's a good one because you know what it makes me do? It makes me admit how dominant Chris Jones is.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think if Chris Jones goes to the Eagles are now favorite.
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like I had never looked at that way, Dukes. Like that's, one of the things I've often done when I'm scouting and as you do with your breakdowns, I try to examine who on the other team I would want on my team or who on the other team could, like in this college situation, covering Colorado or Jackson State or whoever. I look at who's on the other team that could even make it in our locker room, make it in our culture, who brings something to the table. And when I look on that other side, outside of, of course, the obvious and Patrick Mahomes, but you got a damn good quarterback, it hurts. Man, Chris Jones is that dude. Like if he goes over there, it's kind of like when the Cowboys, got a Charles Haley for the 49ers. They got a Deion Sanders for the 49ers. It literally flipped the outcome of the game. You go back to the next year, instead of losing, you win. So you just made me appreciate something, how dominant Chris Jones is, because I think if he flips, if he were on the Eagles defensive line, the Eagles are not a favorite.
Hey, you know what? I agree. I think that, and it's not only just because of Chris Jones and who he is, but having that type of defensive presence on the interior with those young guys, I think Chris Jones makes Jordan Davis better. I think there are things that Chris Jones can say to Jordan Davis that Jalen Carter can't quite say yet, right? Jordan Davis was the big dog when Jalen Carter got to UGA. So seeing him in the NFL, I'm not sure if Jalen Carter, even if he's going to be that type of vocal leader, right? I would love to see those two guys play together. I wish Jalen Carter could figure out a way to play under Chris Jones, but looking at how he elevates the play of that whole defense, he's basically the Pat Mahomes of that defense. He's the guy that's going to elevate the play of the whole team, and that that when he's on the field, you have a chance to get a stop because he'll do it himself. And I just think, I'm going to have to agree with you on that. I think Chris Jones right now Now, and I'm not saying that this ain't a potential. This is about winning on Sunday after next. Right now, Chris Jones is the most dominant interior player in the NFL since Aaron Donald left. And I think right after him, as far as being dominant, I mean, now we forget about, man, Whitcomb had a hell of a year, man. Nobody talked about it because he played for the Giants, but Dexter Lawrence went off this year. Like, we finally saw the athleticism. But right after that little pocket right there, you got to go Jalen Carter. So I think it's good. It'll be good to see almost like the now and the future. Because I don't see anybody in 5 years. I don't see any new rookies coming in that are going to be able to block Jalen Carter in 5 years from now. Once he gets all his pass moves, he gets more of that grown man weight on him. Like, he's a big kid now, but he's 22, 23 at the most. So by the time he gets to be 26, 27 in his prime, I don't think nobody in the league will be able to block Jalen Carter. But as for right now, I got to say it's got to be. I agree with you. I think Chris Jones, if they switch teams, the Eagles will win.
You know, man, I got to give you a hats off. You know, you're saying you agree with me, but you're the one who posed the question. Excellent question, because I had never just considered that before. You know, who could switch teams and flip the odds. And Chris Jones, to me, man, is the right kind of dominant. And I say this with admiration. He's the right kind of crazy. When you look at him with the helmet off and look in his eyes on the sideline, it's like, damn, I'm glad he with me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm glad he over here because that dude, he got some more than dog in him. He got some motor and go get. You know, there's been some recent coaching changes, coaching hires on the collegiate level. You know, we've talked ad nauseum about Coach Prime's lack of an extension at this point. But there's another impact out there going on in college football where you see more and more professional former NFL players who are joining the coaching ranks, starting at HBCUs. Deshaun Jackson is over at Delaware, Michael Vick at Norfolk State. And although it was announced last week, the official press conference was today with Terrell Buckley, a former teammate of Deion Sanders down at Florida State, also a Thorpe Award winner, is now the head coach at Mississippi Valley. You tell me, Phillip Dukes, the prime effect of these high-profile NFL players joining HBCU coaching staff, is this the cap? Is it over, or is it just the beginning?
No, I think it's just beginning. I think that, and I think more so than giving these players a chance, is Terrell Buckley is a bit different with his resume. Like, now, giving guys who haven't had any coaching experience, I think that's the direct prime effect. The prime effect in Terrell Buckley's case is Prime showed what can be done at HBCU.
Mm-hmm.
For a guy who came from, who coached at Ole Miss, who's coached at Akron, who has on the field experience at the coaching level, GA'd at Florida State under Chuck Amato. And I think he got back with him at Akron, if I'm not mistaken. But Terrell Buckley's been coaching for 15 years. He actually was like the last head coach of one of the USFL teams, Orlando somethings. Forgive me, y'all, for the UFL team. But yeah, Terrell Buckley is one of those guys who Coach Prime made HBCU for the UFL team. But well, what was it? Hold on.
No, you good. It was just a reverb.
Okay, my bad. Yeah, so Coach Prime is one of those guys who made those teams attractive. And I think that the way that what he did at Jackson State, where he's shown that you give me the clay and let me mold it. And I think that's what you see. And I think that's where Terrell Buckley is, where Terrell Buckley, like Coach Buckley, he could have stayed in the power forwards. He could have said, you know, I'm going to wait, go get another. He could have came to Colorado. You know, there's a lot of things that he could have done instead of going to take that head coaching job. But being under, but under Coach Prime's influence, he was able to see what he could bring as far as, because he has a reputation of being a big-time recruiter. When you go back and look at what he brought in, his secondaries traditionally, he's recruited well and they played well. He's been a good coach statistically. So I think that as far as a guy who had the trajectory to go and be a defensive coordinator, eventually a head coach on the Power 4 level, as far as, or not even Power 4, just FBS football, him going to take that head coaching job at Mississippi Valley State provides another avenue to bigger jobs. And I think that's what's more important than anything when it comes to Coach Prime's influence is he's created another avenue to go from HBCU to Power 5 or Power 4, or excuse me, Group of 5 or Power 4 on the FBS level. And I think that's where the influence lies. What about you, Unc?
Yeah, I think it is certainly attributable to the prime effect, but just like you're saying, uh, Terrell Buckley kind of has an asterisk by his because he had already been in those coaching ranks. When you look at Michael Vick, Deshaun Jackson, and Deion Sanders, given that first opportunity to coach, Eddie George, Tennessee State, given that first opportunity to head coach at an HBCU is one category of it. And then this Terrell Buckley is a kind of an offshoot of that because of the experience he already had. Having said that, it's all under the broad category of the prime effect, because whether it is the administrations who now consider, a premium on NFL experience and having been there, done that, whether it's your collegiate or NFL career, as well as the coaches themselves who are now more open-minded to applying for an HBCU job and pursuing an HBCU job, and letting the headhunters out there know, their agents out there know, oh no, man, like I'm down to coach at FAMU. You don't just have to shop my name around, to UAB or La Tech. I will certainly, coach at a HBCU. From that kind of talk to outright deliberately pursuing it, I think is a new wave, if you will, a new vibe, if you will, that doesn't exist if Deion Sanders doesn't land, at Jackson State some 4.5 years ago. So it's certainly a connection. I think what Buckley brings to the table, a lot of folks out there probably don't remember his playing days as much as you do with Deion Sanders, because as Troy Aikman said, Coach Prime has found a way to stay relevant long after his playing career, even higher than his playing career. But some of those parents out there, young people, they remember T-Buck, Florida State. They remember what he was capable of. And for him to be coaching at Valley and be a Mississippi boy, like he's, born and raised in Pascagoula down on the coast. So it's a homecoming of sorts, even though Valley's in North Mississippi. And what I really love about it, man, he knows what he's getting into. Like he from Mississippi. He knows Valley is lacking in some resources and some opportunities, and he still wanted that job. And I think it's because of how you bow tied this thing on the end. If Deion Sanders hasn't proven anything else, and in addition to that, Vincent Dancy hasn't proved anything else, is that you can get a bigger job from coaching at a HBCU. You look at Eddie George at Tennessee State, who was just interviewed by the Chicago Bears for their head coaching job. And so now there's a new branch in the timeline of coaching, a new branch in what can happen potentially as far as brothers getting a shot at the HBCU and being to parlay that into a Power 5, Power 4, NFL, you name it. Michael Vick even said it during his announcement that, he wants to make Norfolk State the biggest and best program it's ever been, but he wants to be bigger in his coaching career. He wants to move up, and that's his drive. So that starts with proving that he can do it at this level. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, Dukes. A lot of people get offended when folks are saying, this is what I'm doing right now, but I want to go here next. I want to surround myself with people that want more than they currently have. I don't need to be around people, friends, family, relationships, partnerships with content creation like you and Chico. I don't want to be around nobody who is just content and happy with where they are and not striving for more. So when I hear a coach say, yeah, man, I'm doing this and we're going to do this damn thing because what I'm trying to do is ABC, what I hear is the same thing I hear out there in the corporate world. Nobody wants the current job they're in. Everybody wants a bigger and better job than they got. And I think that's what causes you to do a good damn job with the one you have. So I love when I hear talk like that. So shout out to Terrell Buckley and Coach Prime for that ripple effect of the prime effect and these opportunities open up.
I got one for you, Uncle Neely. You tell me, in the NFL draft this year, after Shedeur and after Travis, or Travis and Shedeur, however it goes, who is your number 3 pick?
You talking in general across the board, or are you talking about Colorado? Who the next Colorado player to go?
Across the board.
Well, I got to say that based on the current top 5 with nobody trading around yet, that the need and demand for a quarterback is still out there. So I'm going to go hats off to Darryl as select QB. I think he's going to have 2 QBs picked in the top 5. I think after the Travis and after Shedeur go, that somebody's got to get that young brother from Miami, from the U.
Yeah.
They got to get Cam Ward. So I think he's got to be next, because I think this is one of those years where you have a lot of teams that need a damn quarterback picking in the top 10.
Yeah, I can see that, man. That's heavy, man. And then even then, when you think about like what Cam Ward did, like just even the competition that him and Shedeur have, man. I just saw vibe when I saw them working out together. I saw vibes of Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Like,
yeah,
it's just like two guys who, you can kind of see their careers being linked together for forever.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just see it at that moment, like even or even vibes of like two successful guys that came out in the same draft, Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, and Ben Roethlisberger. That same year, you just knew that these guys would be successful and they were going to be going head up for years to come. That's the same vibe I get. So yeah, I absolutely. You know what, Cam Ward has slipped me, and I would go with one who some people don't even feel like is a top. I don't know if he's a top 10 pick. I know I see him. I've seen different mock drafts where they don't. Some people got him top 5, some people don't. But I think this kid, like if you're serious about winning, you got to draft in top 5. That's Abdul Carter out of Penn State. He's just a wrecking ball by himself, man. I see so much Michael Parsons in him. I see so much like his athleticism. I just see so many ways that you can utilize this athlete, this freak athlete. They say he's really smart, which is something else I like. He's going to be good on the board. He's good in the classroom. And his potential is limitless when you look at that freak athleticism and the way he gets after the quarterback. And we all know that once you pay a quarterback, then you pay to protect the quarterback. And after you pay to protect that quarterback, you got to go get the quarterback. And I think that if I had to pick third right now, I would go with Abdul Carter for somebody who can immediately get to the quarterback. And I'm saying that as a Falcons fan who are last in the league in sacks again. So, man, if I had anybody that I could draft and trade to the Falcons in my dream world on my Madden 25, it would be Abdul Carter.
A dog. I love that. I love that. And here's the notion. Let me step back from it. Let me go up 30,000 feet. Because again, this is. I love what you picked in your philosophy behind it, and mine was a generalization on the number of teams that are picking based on quarterback. But here's why I love your answer and want to underscore it, bold face it, italicize it, do all that stuff to it, put some arrows toward it. NFL is a quarterback league right now. And when you look at what's going on in Buffalo, what's going on in Kansas City, what's going on with the Commanders, what's going on with Philly, you look at the bottom, not the bottom as in last, but the bottom, the last 8 teams to finish this season down to 2. One thing they got in common is a damn good QB play. Mm-hmm. And what you are suggesting is, if I got to go out there and face people with damn QBs, does it not behoove me to get somebody that could make their QB uncomfortable? Mm-hmm. Like I need to negate what they do. And so shoring up an all-world cornerback or showing up with an all-world pass rusher, it just makes sense, in this league and the way this league is headed. So I ain't mad at that.
Yeah, for sure. That's on
so
you.
Me?
Yep.
Well, I'm gonna flip it back to college, but I'm gonna attach it to the NFL, because one of the things that happens at these invite games, these invite bowl games, is evaluations. Our GM, player personnel, people, scouts go to the Senior Bowl, they go to the Shrine Bowl. They're there for the week of practice and drills, and they're making notes. You hear good reports, you hear bad reports, you hear different reports. You tell me, with your recruiting knowledge and background, this thing, a lot of people don't know because they just don't know. What are the NFL scouts looking for when they attend these invite bowl games, and more importantly, the practices and the prep sessions?
And one, they're going to look, depending on your position, they're going to look at your feet. They want to see what type of footwork you have. They want to see your build. They want to see before the combine. They don't want to look at the roster and see what what your high school says or what the college says. Oh yeah, he's 6'5" and 400 pounds, and you get there and you 6'3", 290. Like, they want to measure themselves, so they're gonna look at speed. They're gonna look at your foot speed. They're gonna look at your size. And when I say foot speed, they want to see your mobility and your agility, flexibility, your hips. They want to say, can you run? Are you flexible enough to bend the corner? And when I say bend the corner, not Jello ball, not bend the corner. Whoa, not that one. We talking about bend the corner. We ain't talking about that one. Like, and then the other thing is they gonna like, and they look, and one of the other things they're looking for on field is to see how you perform in individuals. What happens when you go up against someone who's just as talented as you are? And I think that's why they say practices are more important. And I think if I were to say any other thing, every team, when you just want to cross, if you're looking for something, if you have two players, same position, same size, same skill set, won the same amount of reps in their individuals, the tiebreaker is going to be how you perform on the board. When they get you in that interview room, they're gonna give you a marker and a whiteboard, and they're gonna say, all right, they're gonna give you a situation. If you're on defense, they're gonna say 3rd and 4, ball on the hash, and it's on the 40-yard line their way. What do you call it? And you got to call it from your position on out. And I think one of the things that when I work with certain agents, when I do work with agents, they'll say, all right, well, draw up your defense, or they draw up your position from inside out. And the guys who know it from outside in, like if I'm a safety, if I don't have to start with myself and draw a play, and I can go from the defensive line by level, that's going to be the guy that they say he understands because he can be a coach on the field. And I think those are the things that are important, and not even to think about being on time. So yeah, absolutely. That's those are the things that, in my experience, I've seen scouts look for. What about you, Unc?
Yeah, cosign. We was at the car lot and they were trying to charge you some ridiculous ass interest. Your boy would cosign on that with you, so we can ride off the day. Get the Hellcat that's gonna cost us $850 a month for the next 10 years. I would co-sign with you on that. Yeah, I would co-sign with you on that. I think a lot of times, man, like I said, people don't know what they don't know, so they don't know it. Even like in the NFL preseason games, when you get to that second and third game, you're sitting there as a fan frustrated that, man, what are they doing? Why this game dragging? And they're calling a whole series just to watch the left guard. Like, they're not interested in the completions. They're not interested in the running back, the tight end. Like, they just call 4 plays in a row so they can watch and see what this left guard does. And so it's the same thing with these showcases. Everybody is there because they're talented. Like, you have proven you can play ball, or else you wouldn't be invited to this deal. Now that we're all here, let's see how we look compared to the group. It's like you said, we want to see the eyeball test. Your school been telling everybody that you're 6'3", but now I get to stand next to you and I'm 6'3", and see if we're the same height or not. So you have that going on. But I think it's what Coach Prime has preached. It's all about practice. It's all about body language. It's all about effort. Again, we know you got talent. You wouldn't be here if you didn't have talent. So let me see how you respond to these NFL coaches coaching you and telling you to do something quite different than what your college coach just told you to do. And how do you respond to that? And I know, I'll tell you this, Dukes, there's been a lot of praise for Colorado players and even criticism, for Colorado players specifically, thrown at Shilo Sanders. And one thing I'll say is, I know I'm damn good at what I do, Dukes. The Lord has blessed me. I can run my mouth. But you could string together just this week a highlight reel of me saying KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, instead of Kansas City Chiefs. So if you're looking for it, you'll find it. You can make a low light reel and a highlight reel because you don't even know what's taking place at practice or what the assignment was. But the upside is that the people who are there, the true evaluators, the player personnel folks, the scouts, the GMs, they're hearing what was called. They know where the person is supposed to be and what the person should have done. So some guy out there, with a startup podcast and his phone in his hand, putting out information that somebody looked bad, really doesn't even know, what the hell he's looking at or what's being evaluated. So we have to make sure that is a known thing. But I think on top of that, man, you nailed it. What these folks are looking for. Can you play individually? Can you get in the interview room and get on that board and with the marker draw the play out and discuss the play and explain the why and answer some what ifs if we change it? How did you perform on the field when things went well and when things didn't go well? How coachable were you? Did you arrive early? Did you leave once it was over? How did you get along with other folks? Did you stand off by yourself? Did you work the room? There's so many things that goes into these evaluations that are just above and beyond how someone may have looked at a practice. And I would dare say to you that there are many situations that to the fan eye where somebody looked poor at practice and they were graded exceptional by the scouts who were watching because the scouts know what the hell they're looking at.
Mm-hmm. Man, and one other thing about Shilo too, man. When I watched Shilo film, I went and looked at the lowlights, right? And I saw it. I'm like, bro, you could have did that. You could have got them same lowlights for 80% of the safeties there. Like they saw a drop, they put a drop pass and he was safety. Bro, come on, dog. Like it ain't like it was it's not like the ball was here. The ball was behind, he comes out of his break, the ball's behind him, and then he reaches back. And then Shilo runs back to get the ball instead of letting it sit because he's doing what you're supposed to do. And they like, oh man, look at this. They're Shilo versus a slot receiver. And there's like, okay, how often do you think that they have a nickel back now? And most teams come out in nickel for a reason. If you go look back and you go see last year, my man, the slot back, the nickel corner from the Jets, he literally just got paid as a nickel, highest paid contract nickel ever. Shilo is a safety. Okay, so a guy, first of all, he took on the challenge. Second of all, his feet weren't horrible for him to be going up against a slot receiver. We're talking about a jitterbug, right? All right, cool. When we saw Shilo against tight ends, which you will see a strong safety play, Shilo did well. So when you see him, and so if you see a safety, and you go look, and I ain't just being biased. I'm keeping it a buck. Like, bro, like, yeah, that was something. There was an agenda behind it. And I'm not gonna sit up here and act like it wasn't. Now, do I think that Shilo is safety in the draft? No. Do I think that he's the worst safety in the draft? No. Do I think Shilo gets drafted? Yes. Do I think there's a home for Shilo? Yes. I mean, there's a home for his skill set, and I'm just keeping it a buck. Like, so I don't want nobody coming like, oh, well, Dukes, you just saying this. No, I'm my reputation on the line as well. Because at the end of the day, Shilo ain't thinking about no Phillip Dukes. I'm telling you the truth based on what football is. And football, looking at it, I'm like, nah, that was an unfair assessment based on taking the lowlights. And you can literally go get. Why weren't there any pass breakups on there? He had some. Why didn't we see the pass? Why didn't we see the good coverage on the tight end? Because this dude has an agenda. And every year you see guys that are going to hang their hat on something so they can come back next year. And it's just like you bet against the field. Yeah. Every year, there's going to be somebody that you want to go say ain't good so you can come back and say they are. But they'll never post the times that they wrong. They only going to post the times that they right a year later. And I'd venture to go say that we could go back and look at this guy's tweets from before, and we'll see where he's been wrong multiple times. So if I'm Shilo Sanders, I'm like, yeah, I take that with a grain of salt. I attribute it to the last name, and I keep it pushing because there's going to, like, nobody else in Shiloh's class as far as being a safety is being scrutinized the way that he is. Nobody at the East-West Shrine game as safety is being scrutinized the way Shilo Sanders is. And I just want to commend him for doing a good job dealing with the scrutiny that comes along with his last name.
And for me, the final points you made there are the number one points. You know, if what I'm looking for is what I'm looking for. And I'm looking for a player that can handle that scrutiny, that can bounce back. And he's proven that throughout his college playing days. And I'm like you, Dukes, when I look around, and it's not even just safety, you can expand it to other positions. Nobody out there is being scrutinized for the negativity. You know, you got receivers out there getting a lot of praise, rightly so, but they've also dropped balls. They've also had a busted route. But when you have someone who is sitting there deliberately, intentionally looking for the mess ups so I can make me a reel on mess ups and I can go out there with this point like I'm some expert that knows what I'm talking about, it's another example of the prime tax. It's a tax you pay. In this case, your last name is Sanders, Shilo. So it's a tax you pay for being a Sanders. And then when people try to attack, you or me saying we're biased about it, when all we're really doing is just pointing out the facts. Like when there are plays made, show those. When there are plays are not made, show those. But when you just go totally one-sided, it shows you an agenda. And let me say this, because I know, again, we always have new viewers every week, and I appreciate that as we're live on all three networks, the Pregame Network, Deuce Scoop Channel, and Big Dog Chico producing in the background. You and I never discussed these questions before, but because I knew I was going to ask you this, I got to brought some receipts today. Even though I told you that last time I didn't feel like getting up because I was in draws and I didn't want to go get my receipt. When folks is, oh man, Neely, you just got a talk show. LSU Pro Day, agent trainer. LSU Pro Day, agent trainer. Preseason Carolina Panthers. Even XFL. Even Miami Dolphins. I kind of been there, done this. I know what I'm looking at. I've been in the room. I've been at the bar at the Senior Bowl with you, Dukes, and I know the questions they ask about the players we represent. I've gotten them ready for interviews. I've stood back there in the end zone, in Mobile, and had a whisper campaign with GMs and scouts telling them about players' attributes and what to look for. And folks who are out there who are just looking for bad plays, that ain't what the guys around the rail do when they're taking notes to go back to the headquarters with.
Yeah, nah. It ain't. Like, when people go to these bowl games, you're going for a find. Like, and basically to say, hey, this is what I saw. This matches the film. We should draft this guy. So when you go back and you look, and then too, this is one of those things where one of Shiloh's best attributes isn't on display, which is his physicality. So you don't want to go and be, and they know that Shiloh's not afraid to tussle with anybody. And I think that play, like when you need an enforcer, when you need somebody to come down and be the eighth man in the run game, that's something that Shiloh's going to be able to put on display. And I'm excited for this weekend for Shilo to be able to put like the game together. Like when do they play? Thursday?
Thursday.
Yeah. So you're excited for Thursday to see Shilo be able to put some great film, just to kind of,
before you
go ahead.
Before you hit me with your "you tell me," man, I wish I was a sound man because I hear some claps on what you just did. Because when you talk about these invite bowls, there is an undercurrent of sportsmanship to them. We're here to showcase some things and that kind of thing. And so what Shilo does and does extremely well is just not going to happen at a shrine practice. Like he's not going to be allowed to come down and knock the hell out of somebody, running the ball. He's not going to be allowed to cut across the field with that big hit that dislodges. So some of the things that are totally in his wheelhouse that teams out there won't. You go back to the Ronnie Lotts of the world, that kind of safety play, the Steve Atwaters. You can't really show that at practice at an East-West Shrine Bowl. Practice. Right.
Yes, for sure. Like, yeah, you can't. You see it. You see him pulling up. Like, you can see him. Yeah. I always see that, like, in these type of games, and I watched it, and I saw him, like, all right, so this helps Shilo. And I think I mentioned this on the morning run where playing with faster guys helps Shilo. Playing with better guys helps him because he literally, like, if Shilo had anything that I would see in two games, in the games that you watched last year, it would be if Shilo had anything he could fix in his game, it would be when he overran stuff because he was moving too fast. And then two, just not bringing his arms when he tackled. So those are two things that kind of get fixed with the speed of the game in the NFL because when he know where Shilo is going to be able to diagnose, react, and strike out, boom. And those guys that he's going to be on the same level, his eyes are going to be where everybody else's are. So at that point, he's going to be able to match that with his feet and go clean something up. And I think the speed of the game actually helps Shilo. Because if you go look, there were times where it ain't like he was scared to meet nobody in the hole. So somebody who's willing to throw a shoulder into somebody. And when you go back and you look at the pass coverage from last year, he wasn't a liability by anybody's means. So I think that Shilo has some things that he put on tape this year that he's going to be someone that's going to help an NFL team. And even as a special team, like when you talk about just think about Shilo running down there or somebody on punt return and they got to see Shilo first. Bro, come on. Like, and I think people aren't really, and I think when you put the name on it, they're so much more ready to say he's not an NFL guy than to look at his game and say, dog, if he didn't have that last name, you wouldn't even be studying Shilo. He would be one of these guys to get drafted that just goes about his career and you don't know who he is until he makes a play. We wouldn't know who Shilo Sanders was based on his game. This is just the truth. You wouldn't know who Shilo Sanders was based on because who gets the star, the people with the ball in their hands. How many safeties? I literally challenge someone to name me 8 college football safeties. 8.
You
You
can't.
name
He'll be the top of the list, and then because he's Cam in Colorado with the prime effect, he would be somewhere in there too. And that is the part and parcel where you just know as evidence, of the reciprocal, the opposite that is of the prime effect, where you get that prime hate that anything Sanders related is gonna have that prime tax on it, and that's just part of it, man. Like that is just
yeah,
part of it. And I think that that Shilo knows it. Prime knows it, and so he's surrounded by people that are keeping in the right spirits out there doing his thing as they go into the final practice in the game. But I just think it's one of those things from a reporting standpoint, because a lot of these folks with internet access and a camera in their pocket, they try to purport to be journalists, but they're not doing journalistic things. Is quite biased and totally removed of fact.
right. Yeah, no,
It's on
absolutely.
you. It's on you, big dog.
Yeah. I think I just want to close that out. Just the last thing is I hate it for them boys sometimes, man, because they really just don't get a chance. I know it's a lot that comes along with being like with Coach Prime, but I hate that, man, because, man, sometimes I be feeling like Shilo really just wants to go out and play football without all the extra stuff. Like, to be honest,
That's very true.
yeah, sometimes I could just look at Teddy like, damn, like, I just want to go play ball, man, not and judge him without the last name. And I think sometimes people aren't able to do that. Think about Bucky. All right, cool. I'm gonna put you on one right quick. All right, so Bucky, people don't even realize they act like Bucky wasn't successful as a football player. Like,
Yeah.
bro, that man went to Houston and was getting off, bro. Like, they forget about this, right? Like, Coach Prime's first D1 football players weren't on his team right now. It was
Yeah.
Bucky.
Yeah.
So, okay, the same guy who's training Coach Steph, who played at Western Kentucky, the same guy who's training Will Shepherd, same guy that's training LaJohntay Wester, same guy that's training Jimmy Horn Jr. at XPE down in Lauderdale, right now, was at the prep school that Bucky went to and said, bro, listen, you like when I interviewed him, that's Coach Steph Brown from TSP. Go check out that
Yeah.
interview on Pregame Network on my channel. When I interviewed him, he was like, hey, dog, he said, I'm gonna put you on one. He said, man, bro, Bucky was killing that prep schools. He said, nah, I said, nah, dude, I know what it looked like. He said, they were hating on him. And he was like, listen, like this is my partner. Little bro, like Oakland City. He telling me the truth. This wasn't on camera. This was just him talking to me. He said, nah, bro, they be hating on him, man. He was like, he was getting off. He said, matter of fact, we need to put it back on the interview. I said, no, I'm gonna save it. I'll say that one. So that prime tax is real, bro, because they really be acting like Blakey didn't play college football. Like the man won nothing. So that just proves the fact that sometimes, like, when you have a name that precedes you, it's hard for you to get your to get your due credit. So I do want to just go ahead and give a shout out to them boys for like even so what Shadur's able to do, that just makes it 10 times as crazy because nobody like people literally don't like Deion Sanders. I ain't never met nobody who just said I can't stand Archie Manning. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like people don't like Deion Sanders before he get to anywhere. So like the teams who drafted players who had fathers who were successful at that level, none of them got the hate that a Deion Sanders got. Like it is what it is. So man, shout out to them boys for staying resilient.
Hey man, it's all good. Sometimes that blessing come with the opposite part of it. And you talk about Bucky in his playing days. It's the same thing even with his video work. When his brothers were playing at Trinity and Truth, who was doing all that filming? Him. And so people like they see it now and think it's brand new and think it's like a hookup from the head coach. But he been doing it. He been filming, his brother's success after his playing days was over. And I just leave it at this, Dukes. Moses wasn't no regular Hebrew. Dr. King wasn't no regular preacher. Deion Sanders wasn't no regular cornerback. Sometimes shit just come with it, dog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just part of it.
All right, I'm gonna change it up for you right quick. Right now, you at a party, and let's say the age range at the party is from 20 to 40, 20 to 50, 20 to 50. You at a party, 300 people there. They give you the auxiliary cord. You got to pick one song to turn it up. What's your song to turn that party up? From 20 to 50. You got the aux cord. Everybody waiting to see what you're gonna play, and they better go crazy. What's your song to turn the party up?
Well, I don't know if they're gonna go crazy, but I already know what I'm gonna play. But before I say what I'm gonna play, let me say this. A party that's aged 20 to 50, that means I got a chance at the mama and the daughter.
So,
I'm going to that party. I'm going, you just look. It's like basketball. You want to increase your percentage by increase your odds. You want to take mid range, baby. The mid range is a lost art. Lay up in mid range. Don't come across half court just pulling up. That's not your thing. Mid range and layups is what I'm going for. So 20 to 50, you gave me something. I'm gonna simply go with this. Now again, I'm not about to sit here and say that this is the best answer for this situation, but I just know for me, when I talk about rhythm and blues, when I talk about P-Funk, when I talk about hip hop, and I put it all together for me, I'm going Flashlight, man. It captures everything, man. It knows no generation. It knows no bounds. Give me some Parliament Funkadelic Flashlight.
I like that, man. Oh, man. Hey, man. Yeah,
what you got? You go to the party. You got the aux cord. It's age 20 to 50. What Deuce gonna drop on their heads? You tell me.
Man, you know what? If it's family reunion, and because that's what's gonna be there, 20 to 50. My song, man, that I played, I turned down. I got a dance to go with it. You can see it on my Instagram too, man. I got a kick I do, man. But Return of the Mac, Mark Morrison.
Yeah.
You lied to me.
Yeah.
I love you. Yeah, that one usually for a family reunion kickback vibe, you gotta go there. But if I don't know nobody and I just want to turn it up and I want to get the aunties and the nieces, everybody crunk, back that ass up, man. Juvenile.
It's the number one. Back that ass up is the number one.
Juvenile.
Yeah, it's like it is so number one, and ain't nothing else like it. It's like it's just straight up damn number one.
Yeah, you got to, man. Like
nothing will top the generational appeal for women who used to twerk and daughters who still do, like Back That Ass Up does. Nothing.
Yeah, man, and I just see it like, because that's like, if you 50, that means you were 30 when that came out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think all the aunties, they gotta go. Like, if you was 30 when Back That Ass Up dropped and you was still out there a little bit, that's still your song. Like,
20 to 50 with Back That Ass Up is a judgment-free zone. Everybody did it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be 70, 75 to turn your nose up at it. If you 20 to 55, Back That Ass Up, Blow the Whistle. Look, dog. That's your anthems.
Yeah. Blow the whistle.
Go on and on. Can't understand why it lasts so long.
Shout out to Shout Dog.
Yeah, you tell me got superpowers. Hey man, you hit that red cup that time and your screen got blurry, so I know it's something nice in that cup.
Hey man, ain't nothing but that good H2O, man. Good old H2O.
That's all I got too, man. Just a little water. Just a little water. Hey man, you know what we do on You Tell Me when we get ready to close it out. Let me give a couple of shout outs first. We're coming to you live on all three networks. Big Dog Chico, shout out to the super producer in the back, Big Dog Chico. We live on his channel. We live on Duke the Scoop channel, live on the pregame network, simulcast as you call it. Make sure you subscribe to all three. Like and subscribe and hit that notification bell because exclusive content is dropping tomorrow morning, because Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, we got a new show the three of us do together called The Morning Run. So y'all get ready to check it out in the morning. As we always do, Duke the Scoop, you got the last word, brother. Take us the F up out of here.
Man, hold on. Let me think about this one. All right, to take us out, this for anybody who wants to make it forward. It's your attitude, not your aptitude, that determines your altitude. And I'm gonna drop the mic on there.
Bam. Always got my man Duke the Scoop with that final word. Big Dog Chico. Let's ride up out this thing, man. We appreciate y'all. One love. Peace out in the chat.
I can't figure this out. Like help me out. I'm trying to understand, dudes, what the hell is going on?
Tell me.
So that's the name of this partnership. You tell me. 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 Live on Mondays. You tell me. Live on Mondays. You tell me. Live on Mondays. You tell me. Live.